Hello to those of you who know me and to those of you who don't know me. My name is Shelby. 20 years old and I'm from Minnesota. And I struggle with mental issues, mental illnesses. And I formally have since I was 15 years old, but I've pretty much dealt with this my whole life. It's how I have always been, I guess. It's just me. So I guess I just wanted to make this video to kind of talk about my story and how it affects me every day in my daily life, and what I do for myself to deal with it. So I guess I should probably start at like the very beginning. So I was born in 2000 to two very rad people. My mom and my dad. They weren't married and they weren't dating super long when they had me. And 2 years after so I was born, and then 2 years later they had my sister, and then 2 years later, so when I was 4, they had my other sister, and then 2 years later, so when I was 6, they had my brothers. So there was 4 of us and we were 2 years apart. So my childhood was very crazy, very, very, very crazy. And I feel like I'm not crazy. I don't have that go, 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 go kind of attitude about things, and so it was really hard for me to adjust to that. I guess it still is for me. I go to my own family events and I'm like, holy crap, there's way too many people. This is insane. Like, what are we doing? Can we tone it down? It's just me, I guess. And they know that about me and they love that and they accept it, whatever. And then when I was 11, unfortunately, my uncle, my dad's brother, he killed himself, and that was like the first time that I'd ever really heard the word depression with like a loss or something, and that was really hard to accept. Still, my family and I, so we still grieve him to this day. And then my grandfather, my dad's dad, got diagnosed with cancer. And then my mom's dad, not too long after that, got diagnosed with cancer, and then my parents got divorced. And that was in the matter of like 3 years. It was crazy. And then my parents, separated, they moved out, whatever. They told us they were getting divorced. They moved out. My dad moved out, I guess. And he moved down to Wisconsin with his family, and that was really hard for all of us, I think, just because we were used to having my dad there every day, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. And then my grandpa, unfortunately, he passed away. My other grandpa ended up surviving, and he is still alive to this day. Love you, PJ. But yeah, so I had a very traumatic, I would say like 4-year gap, 4 years, very traumatic. And then when I was 15, I feel like my life just took this, I feel like I was already, kind of like down, and then it just dove. I dyed my hair black. I decided that I liked different things. Alternative, I guess would be the word. I liked alternative things. I liked punk bands. I liked black. I didn't care what people thought about me. I thought I was like hot shit in this little corner of the universe, and everybody else was over here, and I did not care. I didn't care I didn't care if I didn't have friends. I was completely content by myself. And I just did not give a shit. That was my attitude. I didn't give a shit. And that same year, my mom ended up giving birth to my little brother. She ended up, finding someone awesome, and they had a baby, and it was super cool. I started to, kind of resent my dad a little bit. I felt like, it was his fault that our family wasn't together. And I really started to resent my dad. And then when I was 16, kind of got out of the black hair phase, kind of got out of the punk phase, not really though, and I met a boy, and I never really had any boy experiences. Obviously, when you're younger, you get crushes or boy bands or, like celebrities that are like your age that you think are like so cute and you just obsess over and whatever. But I met a boy, and he kind of like talked his way up into my life, into like a priority, and we started dating, and that was my first experience with like I guess like a sexual relationship. And he took advantage of that, and he really took advantage of that, and I ended up, at the time, I didn't know what had happened, but I ended up getting raped, and I didn't tell anybody. I felt disgusting, and the only reason I got out of it was because I had a really cool guy friend at the time, and I kind of told him what happened. I just kind of told him that he was like not a great guy and that I didn't know what to do. And so he, got on his social media and told him like, hey, like, I kissed Shelby or something stupid. And he was like, all right, well, fuck you guys, like whatever. And that's how I got out of it, was because this person that I didn't trust them. I did not trust this guy very much. Like, we were really good friends, and it wasn't like he was just like somebody that like I just met. No, we'd been friends for a couple of years at this point, and he realized that there was something wrong, and stepped in and like did that for me. And it was super rad of him, like appreciate it with all my heart, and I don't know what I would have done if he wouldn't have done that. Anyway, and then when I was I guess it would have been like the end of my sophomore year, so I was in my room. I remember being in my room, and I remember my mom giving me like Benadryl, like that fall. Like, she gave me like a bottle of Benadryl, and she was like, oh, hey, like keep this in your bathroom. Me and my sisters, we shared a bathroom in our basement, and she gave us Benadryl to put down there. And I remember taking it when I was like actually like had allergies, and I remember making me really tired, and I really just wanted to, I guess, fall asleep and not wake up was kind of what I wanted. And so I took like 6 of them, and I went to bed, and I remember thinking like, okay, like this is it, like I'm not gonna wake up. I wrote notes to my friends at the time. I wrote notes to my parents. I journaled like all of these deep, dark thoughts. I just wrote down on paper, and I put that right next to my bed. And I remember going to sleep, falling asleep, and when I woke up the next morning, I was absolutely devastated. And I got ready for school, pretended like nothing was wrong. I made it to like, I think, hour 2, and I went to a social worker's office, and I ended up telling her what happened. Left school, went to the ER. They did an evaluation, first time in a mental hospital. Let me tell you, after you go to a mental hospital, people do not treat you the same at all. They become fake. They pretend like they care about you. They pretend to be nice to you. They pretend like they don't talk behind your back, whatever. Like, that, high school's hard, and that made it probably 4 times as hard for me. And, I already had, like, I feel like a good group of friends, and I wouldn't even call them friends. It was literally just these girls, these amazing girls who just let me tag along with them. And then all of this happened, and then I feel like I didn't get to tag along. I was just like this freak that they felt bad for, is how it felt. And when I was 17, I met a boy, and I was cured, right? Like, I feel so much better now. Keep in mind, pretty much from the time that I was like probably 13, I started hurting myself. I have scars all over my body. I'm not a cutter. I was always a scratcher. And for those of you that don't know, this is really messed up to explain, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You scratch yourself until your skin's raw, and then you just keep ripping the scabs, ripping the whatever. You get infections. It's disgusting. And I was doing that the whole time that I thought I was cured, whatever. And yeah, dated him for a year, broke up, and then I found something that I was 100% passionate about, and that was cheerleading. My junior and senior year of high school, I cheered. My junior year was probably the hardest year of high school for me. I spent a lot of time in the hospital. I got a concussion. It was hell. It was literally hell. I wanted to die every single day of my life. That whole year, I wanted to die. And I kept telling myself, if I make it to my senior year, God bless. Like, wow. Like, senior year was huge for me. That was like a whole lifetime away. And I just kept telling myself, I just kept pushing myself, senior year, senior year, senior year, senior year. And I got to my senior year of high school. And at the time, I was done with meds. I did not want meds. I had been taking meds since I was 15 and I was 17 at the time. I was like, I'm done, no meds. So I quit taking them. I moved in with my dad, who at the time I still pretty much resented up until this point. I was like, he ended up moving back, and I think when he moved back, that was when I was like, okay, like, this is my dad. Like, this isn't some, asshole off the street. Like, this is my father, and I am being so mean. And so I moved in with him, and my mom 100% understood where I was coming from. She wasn't super supportive at first. She was pretty skeptical about me moving in with my dad. But, at the end of the day, like, she knew that I needed it. And so I moved in with my dad, and things got a lot better. I got a job. I'd always had a job, but I, really threw myself into work and school. And I did okay. I wasn't coping, though. I was just burying all of my thoughts. And in return, I would bury and push and bury and push and bury and push people. And that was how I, coped with it. That's how I cured myself. That's how I got through it, whatever. And then senior year ended, and then I was like, so college, right? Like, the school system is so flawed, and it pushes you to think that you need to go to college to be a successful person. And that's what I thought. And so I was like, all right, the first degree that I found, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. This is what I want to do. I want to do something in the healthcare field, whatever. Got everything signed up. It was just a tech school, and I knew I couldn't do it. I knew that I would do it and be going through the motions, and I wouldn't be passionate about it, and then I'd be taking somebody else's spot who really wanted to be there. And I knew that wasn't fair, so I just kept working. And then I ended up, just kind of working that year after high school, and I ended up meeting someone who put me in a different perspective, I guess, like, mind perspective, and kind of talked to me to get back on meds and stuff, and that was a really hard conversation. So at the time, I was, like, kind of thinking about it and whatever. And then April 2019, in March, I moved out of my dad's house, and I moved in with my grandma and my boyfriend. We lived there, and I was doing awful. I wasn't on meds. I wasn't going to therapy. I wasn't doing anything for myself. I was just going through the motions of it, and everybody knew it. But rather than listening to them when they would call me out on it, I would just tell them, like, F off, like, I'm fine. Well, I ended up getting a bottle of Vicodin, and I ended up taking probably, like, 12 to 15 pills. And I called my mom, and I was, like, not really freaking out. I was just, like, I just wanted to tell her I loved her. And she knew something was off. Like, she immediately red flag. She asked me what I did. Like, what did I do? Like, Shelby, what did you do? Shelby, what did you take? Like, what's going on? Where are you? And I was, like, nodding off. And so she hung up the phone, called my boyfriend. My boyfriend found me and called 911. And I ended up getting 2 shots of Narcan sprayed up my nose. And then I ended up finding out later, obviously, that if they would have showed up 2 minutes later, I would not be here today. I went to a mental hospital, and I got put back on meds, and that's when I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder is a very hard diagnosis. I think all personality disorders would be really hard to, have someone tell you that, hey, this is what I think it is. It's a personality thing. So, a lot of people don't know about borderline. It's not, I mean, it's common, but it's not something that, like, it's not like depression common or anxiety common. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot harder to explain. So essentially borderline's all about relationships. And people who have borderline tend to be really angry, manipulative, aggressive, pathological liars, kind of like, how can I burn you before you burn me type of thoughts. So, like, yeah. But then they also, when they do get attached to people, it's very much so like you want to spend all of your time with that person, no time with anybody else. You kind of let other relationships drop because you just want to focus on this one person who makes you, feel safe. And when they do, try to distance themselves from you because, you're acting kind of crazy, like you're just me, like you just want me all the time. When they try to distance themselves, it literally feels like the world's falling apart. And it makes all relationships complicated, but obviously, like, like boyfriend girlfriend relationships, it makes it much more hard. And I definitely struggle with it. I have accepted it, obviously. I did not at first, but then it was explained to me in a way that, like, definitely made more sense. Obviously, like, I'm not a very aggressive person. I really don't. I try really hard not to show my anger. It kind of just comes off as more mean. Like, I guess snotty is how it was always described to me by, like, my parents and my family when I would get angry. It's just that I was really snotty and bratty. And that's where my anger comes out. Low blows is what my mom would always call them. When I was, a teenager or whatever. So I think emotionally all the time, and that's not very logical. Like, when people leave or whatever, like, I think emotionally, and that makes it really hard for me to let people go, like, let them do their thing and they're gonna come back. Like, that's really hard for me to do, like, with any relationship. I'm very attached to my mom, I'm very attached to my boyfriend, and I'm very attached to my grandma. And those three people are three people that if they told me, hey, we're going out of town for a week, I would literally throw a tantrum on the floor and cry. That probably sounds absolutely crazy to all of you, but I would tell my mom that I had, like, cancer or something for her to come back. Like, that's what my brain tells me, because I feel like they're never gonna come back. Like, I feel like they're leaving me, and it just feels like my world's falling apart. And it used to be that bad. Not until I started, like, really working on myself. And that took a lot from my mom. My mom really pushed me to go to therapy, to take my meds, to, brush my hair, brush my teeth, just do basic things, get out of bed, to help myself. That's what she would always tell me, is, Shelby, you just gotta help yourself. Like, just make yourself feel good. Like, no, don't care about anybody else, just yourself. Just do what you have to do. Because at the end of the day, I'm really not a selfish person. I would, give you my last dollar if I had to. I would probably give anybody, like, the clothes off my back. Like, if you needed help, like, I would help you. And that's my core personality. And so it's really hard to have something like this when you're considered sensitive, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So people who I've definitely wronged in the past see me as, like, a very evil and manipulative person because that's how I treated them. But people in my life who haven't seen that side of me are very, like, what? Like, she's awesome, she's great, she's so sweet, she's so supportive, blah, 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 blah. And so it's two very, like, hot and cold situations. And so my, I guess, therapy is to kind of mesh them into, like, a warm. That's what my therapist always says. It's like, this is a really hot side of you and this is a really cold side of you. Let's try to mesh it into a warm. And so to be a warm person, I am trying to in a more healthy way express anger and frustration and sadness, that rather than burying it down, and then when someone tells me, oh hey, I'm leaving, or oh hey, you know, I gotta run to the store or whatever, other than me freaking out. And that's not the only part of borderline, obviously. Like when you like research it, like there's a lot more to it, but that's like what I probably struggle with the most and what's the easiest to explain. And so I guess the next little part of this is like what I do to like help myself with it. So obviously today, like sitting here in front of you, if you were to ever see my medical chart, which obviously none of you would, but on there it would say borderline personality disorder, general anxiety disorder, PTSD. Obviously I'm not cured of depression, but it's not something that I struggle with near as much anymore. However, I do have suicidal tendencies with all of that. So like if it'd be like all of my diagnosis, and then over here it'd just say like overall suicidal tendencies. And what suicidal tendency means is that you have had tendencies in the past to try to hurt yourself or commit suicide. So yeah, that's kind of what that would look like. And so to like help myself every day, I guess we'll start with like medication. I take duloxetine meds. So duloxetine's probably more people know it as like Cymbalta. I take one of these every night. That's one thing that I've noticed. I am a night pill person. I don't remember in the morning to take my meds, so at night is when I take them because that's when I remember. And then everybody in Minnesota or in a dreary place, you should be taking vitamin D. I take a very high IU, which is like the vitamin thing of like a milligram. I take 5,000 IU every day. And this I really feel like helps. And then I take ashwagandha supplements. These are for they're supposed to like fill you up like with like make it so you're fuller longer, but they also boost my antidepressant. So this is like the baseline, and this like boosts it a little bit, and I definitely notice a difference if I take this or if I don't take it, and I really feel like it helps. And then I also take CBD oil. This is 1,000 milligrams. This I feel like, I don't know, like I've only been taking it for about a month, but I feel like it does help, but I could see why it wouldn't help everybody. Like I definitely think some days like I feel it, I guess I feel it more. I mean, obviously it's CBD oil, like you don't feel it, but it definitely zens me out a lot more than when I do and don't take it. And I don't take this every day because I just feel like, I know CBD oil is really hard on your liver, so I just don't want to hurt my liver too much. So I take this like every other day. And then something that I literally swear by if you have anxiety, this is passion flower extract. And this is supposed to calm you and relax you. This is a disgusting color and it kind of stinks. My family literally hates it. My boyfriend specifically thinks it looks disgusting because it's like moss green. But this helps with my anxiety so much. I've taken so many PRNs. For those of you who don't know what a PRN is, it's something that you would take as you need it for your anxiety. And I've taken probably like at least 3 or 4 PRNs. So not a ton, but I've definitely tried them. This works so much better. It cuts my anxiety down. I literally can feel myself, like calming out. So what you do is you take a dropful and you put it in like a bottle of water and you shake it up, or you can put it in tea and mix it, or coffee or whatever. And I believe you can take this like 2 to 5 times a day. So pretty much as you need it. I probably use this maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, just when my anxiety gets kind of high. So yeah. And then things, I would highly suggest, I got this for Christmas this year. My mom bought it for me. It's a light, so I don't have the cord with, but it has this little stand in the back, and you can, stand it up and like set it up, and it has a timer, and then it has like a bright. And so this is just a light, just because in Minnesota we don't always get sunshine. So it's another vitamin D thing that I think really does make a difference, oddly. I was kind of skeptical when I opened it, but I definitely think it helps. And then this, my boyfriend's parents bought for me for Christmas, but I've always had something along the lines of this. Essentially, it's like it's called Everyday Calm, and it's just like, prompts to help with like tranquil thinking. And so like, obviously you just like write in it every day. So it has just like random prompts. So like this one is like, what can lift your mood? But then there's other parts in the book, I guess I don't want to show what I wrote, but where these are the same questions every day. So it asks you about the weather, it asks you do like a 5 senses thing, and then it just kind of like takes your mind off of whatever you're doing. And it's something that I really like being in the habit of doing, because it just, I don't know, it just kind of gives me a purpose to get out of bed. Like, oh hey, like I need to fill up my journal, or oh hey, I need to like fill up my planner. Planners help so much with all of this. Keeps me like on task, which can be kind of hard, obviously. So this was kind of a long video, I'm sorry about that, but I'm really passionate about this. It's something that I deal with every single day. So if I can like just talk for, you know, a half hour about it and somebody would listen to me, greatly appreciated. And if any of you struggle with it, you're not alone. I know that's very overused, but you're not.